The used car market is obsessed with Japanese badges. That obsession has made 10 American cars some of the best value buys on any lot right now. These are not trendy, fancy, or dealership favorites. They are cheaper because buyers underestimate them. Number 1 is the American badge secret that quietly borrowed Toyota's homework. That is where we start. Number 10, 2007 to 2010, Chevrolet Cobalt 2.2. Forget the jokes about cheap GM compacts, because this Cobalt is where the math gets interesting. Buyers punish it for old rental car energy, hard plastic inside, and the ignition switch headlines that scared a whole generation away from small Chevys. That stigma keeps clean ones cheaper than Civic, Corolla, or Mazda listings that bring stronger money just because the badge feels safer. We are not hunting the Turbo SS, not chasing a loud exhaust, and not buying some kid-built parking lot toy. We want the regular 2.2-liter Ecotec 4-cylinder with normal tires, normal parts, and boring service history. That engine is simple, common, and widely serviced, which means the ownership story is not scary when something normal breaks. Starters, brakes, wheel bearings, sensors, struts, and coolant parts are easy for regular shops, not dealer-only drama. Current market range for honest examples is roughly $3,300 to $7,000, depending on miles, rust, title, and records. A similar year Civic or Corolla can cost thousands more, and that extra money does not always buy a better condition. It buys demand. The Cobalt wins when you find the older owner car, not the abused commuter with bald tires and warning lights. I like it for a buyer who wants work miles, school miles, or a backup car without sinking truck money into something basic. It is not refined, and the seats will not feel plush, but the repair math stays calmer when the car is bought clean. That is the buyer we want here. Someone who needs starting, stopping, and cheap repairs more than bragging. Inspection checkpoint, confirm ignition recall work, then check power steering assist, front end clunks, brake feel, rocker rust, and brake lines underneath. On a test drive, it should track straight, stop cleanly, and shift without feeling lazy or harsh. Keep oil changes regular, change coolant before it turns nasty, and fix suspension noise early because cheap front-end parts are cheaper than ruined tires. Also, check battery cables, grounds, and lighting, because little electrical issues make cheap cars feel worse than they are. Choose this car when you need the lowest buy in American commuter and care more about cheaper repair math than image. Next is the weird little Chevy that looks like a cartoon wagon, but the cargo room makes it useful. Subscribe if you want reliable, cheap car picks, simple repair checks, and honest year's mechanics still respect when the market looks elsewhere. Number 9, 2008 to 2011, Chevrolet HHR. Odd shapes can hide smart value, and the HHR proves it better than most buyers want to admit. People laugh at the retro nose, the tall roof, the hard plastic cabin, and that old GM economy car vibe, then walk toward compact crossovers costing several $1,000s more. That is the mistake. The HHR gets ignored because it is not quite a wagon, not quite an SUV, and not cool enough for anyone chasing image. But for a practical buyer, that strange body is the whole reason it works. You get a tall roof, a wide hatch, folding rear seats, and a cargo area that feels more useful than a normal compact trunk. Tool bags, pet crates, folding chairs, groceries, work boxes, small furniture, and weekend gear fit without needing a truck. I like it for the guy who has a small route, a side job, or a garage full of tools, because the load floor is low enough to use every day, and the roofline gives awkward boxes room to stand. Try that with a tiny sedan trunk, and you will start swearing before the second load. Current market pricing usually sits around $3,500 to $9,500, with many ordinary non-SS cars well under $12,000. But the value is not just the sticker price. The smart buy is the plain, clean HHR that gives wagon-style cargo space for thousands less than many tired compact crossovers. A used CR-V, RAV4, or newer compact crossover with similar loading use can cost several thousand more, even before repairs start. That price gap exists because the American badge stigma is real. Buyers hear Chevrolet compact, remember cheap interiors, and assume disposable. The mechanical reason this one can outlast the joke is the regular 2.2 or 2.4-liter Ecotec 4-cylinder. Those engines were shared across plenty of GM products. Parts are common, and most independent shops already know the layout. We are not chasing the SS Turbo. We want the simple version, with normal tires, normal service records, and no boy racer story. In real life, I have seen HHRs used by cleaners, parts runners, retirees, small business owners, and people who need cheap cargo space without van fuel costs. They are not pretty, but they can be honest. One customer used one as a mobile parts shelf for years, and the biggest complaints were mounts, brakes, tires, and little interior pieces, not engine disaster. That is the ownership story we want. Boring repairs, cheap parts, easy diagnosis. The downside is that neglected examples feel terrible fast, because rattles and worn mounts make the whole car seem older than it is. Test the door handles, hatch struts, power locks, air conditioning, front suspension, engine mounts, and automatic shift quality. Budget owners use these hard, so small broken pieces to tell the truth. Drive it warm, listen for clunks, feel for vibration, and check tires for uneven wear. Use the correct oil, service coolant, change transmission fluid, and replace worn mounts before the whole car feels rough. Choose this car when you want dirt-cheap cargo flexibility and do not care if people make jokes about the shape. If the hatch opens clean, the floor is dry, and the engine runs smooth, the joke may be on the crossover buyer. Number 8. 2008 to 2009 Mercury Sable. Disappearing brands scare people, but they can also create serious value. The Sable is cheap because Mercury vanished, not because the car forgot how to drive. Younger buyers see the badge and think dead end. They do not realize this is basically roomy Ford family hardware with a strong parts network, a big cabin, and a highway ride that feels calmer than the price suggests. It also looks like something a retired neighbor owned, which keeps demand soft and helps buyers who care about comfort over clout. The current market range is roughly $3,500 to $9,500, depending on mileage, trim, and condition. A same-era Toyota Avalon, Lexus ES, or newer Camry can cost thousands more because buyers understand those names faster. The Sable gives big sedan space for less money because nobody searches Mercury first. The mechanical reason it belongs here is the 3.5-liter Duratec V6 paired with a 6-speed automatic. That is common Ford family hardware, not exotic luxury stuff. And the car was built for steady highway miles. It is not a sports sedan, and that is a good thing for this buyer. In the shop, we look for ordinary wear: wheel bearings, brakes, power steering noise, suspension bushings, batteries, sensors, and power accessories. I like it for the driver doing long commutes, highway visits, doctor trips, or family errands where a tiny compact feels loud and nervous. The doors are large, the seats are wide, and the ride has that relaxed American feel people forgot they liked. It is not fancy, but it can be quieter than many newer cheap cars. For drivers who live on highways every week, that calm ride can matter more than badge status. Inspection checkpoint. Drive it at neighborhood speed and highway speed. Then feel the transmission shifts. Listen for wheel bearing hum. Check rear suspension noise. Test every window, seat switch, mirror, and climate control button. Big sedans hide worn parts because they stay quiet until they get bad. Service transmission fluid, keep coolant clean, and do not ignore humming bearings or weak charging because electrical complaints pile up fast on older comfort cars. Also, inspect brake lines and underbody rust if the car lived near salt, because comfort does not matter if the structure is crusty. Choose this car when you want quiet highway comfort and big sedan space without paying Toyota or Lexus money. Next is the small American SUV that gets ignored because buyers think only Japanese crossovers survive. Number 7. 2009 to 2012. Ford Escape 2.5. Plain-looking crossovers can hide smart value, and this Escape is one of those quiet American buys. SUV shoppers usually run straight to CR-V, RAV4, Forester, or Pilot listings because those names feel safer. The Escape gets treated like an old Ford crossover, even when the right 4-cylinder version is simple enough to make sense. That American badge stigma keeps demand softer, and that is where a buyer with a $12,000 ceiling can win. Clean 2.5-liter examples usually sit around $4,000 to $10,500, depending on rust, miles, trim, and records. A similar era CR-V or RAV4 can cost thousands more, even when it has tired tires, cloudy lights, and the same old age problems. The Smart Escape is the 2.5-liter Duratec 4-cylinder, not a neglected larger engine truck substitute. It avoids the fuel thirst of bigger SUVs, uses common parts, and keeps repairs normal for most independent shops. The 6-speed automatic needs fluid care, but the basic setup is not mysterious. In the shop, we look for rear wheel well rust, rocker rust, transmission shift quality, rear hatch operation, air conditioning, and suspension clunks over rough pavement. The driving test is simple. Warm it up, let it shift through every gear, Then listen at 40 to 60 miles per hour for growls, vibration, or loose front-end noise. I also check the rear cargo area because a small SUV gets used like a tool. Wet carpet, broken trim, and a hatch that will not stay up tell you the owner delayed little repairs. That matters because delayed little repairs become bigger repairs. Change transmission fluid, keep coolant fresh, rotate tires, and fix oil leaks before they soak mounts and belts. I also want matching tires because cheap mismatched rubber makes a small SUV feel worse than it is. Choose this car when you need a small American SUV under $12,000 and refuse to overpay for the obvious Japanese choices. For a buyer coming out of a sedan, it gives better entry height and winter confidence without jumping into a heavy truck. That is the real value. Modest size, cheaper parts, and enough utility for daily life. If you need a daily that can handle groceries, school pickup, bad weather, and weekend hardware store runs, this is more useful than a tired midsize sedan. Next is the Pontiac that proves old GM parts supply can still save a budget. Number 6. 2004 to 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix 3.8. Old badges scare new buyers, but this Grand Prix has the kind of drivetrain mechanics that still respect. Pontiac is gone, so younger shoppers treat the name like a warning label. The body looks wide, dated, and plain inside, and nobody is posting one to brag about their smart garage find. That weak demand is exactly why prices stay low. Normal 3.8-liter cars often land around $2,500 to $7,000, while clean Accord or Camry sedans of similar size can cost far more. Skip abused supercharged cars, cheap exhaust builds, and tired GXP examples if long-term cheap ownership is the goal. The reason this car belongs is the 3.8-liter GMV6. Shops have seen it forever, parts are everywhere, and the engine usually gives owners boring, steady miles when coolant, oil, and ignition parts are handled. It is not a modern cabin, and the plastic will not impress anybody, but the repair math is friendly. If a coil, plug wire, alternator, wheel bearing, strut, or brake part goes bad, we are usually talking normal shop time and easy parts sourcing. That matters more than style when money is tight. I have seen these cars survive ugly commutes, cheap tires, and owners who only fix what makes noise. That does not mean you should buy a neglected one. It means the base hardware has real tolerance when the service story is decent. The American badge stigma creates the deal because buyers forget that old GM parts availability can be a real ownership advantage. Check coolant condition, intake gasket seepage, transmission shift quality, front suspension noise, brake lines, and rust underneath. On the test drive, feel for hard shifts, misfires under load, and steering looseness. Keep coolant fresh, fix leaks early, service transmission fluid, and do not ignore misfires because plugs and coils are cheaper than ruined converters. I also like to check the radiator fans at idle because heat neglect is what turns a tough engine into damage. Choose this car when you want cheap GM parts support and a proven V6 without caring that the brand is gone. It is also a good pick for someone who drives a lot of ordinary miles and wants a cabin larger than a compact without paying mid-size import money. The trick is finding the calm owner car, not the parking lot racer. For older buyers, the wide seats and soft ride also matter. Not everyone wants to climb down into a compact after work. Next is the Buick that gives near-luxury comfort without luxury bills, if you buy the right engine. Number 5. 2006 to 2008 Buick Lucerne 3.8. Comfort can be cheap when younger buyers are too proud to sit in the right sedan. The Lucerne gets written off as an old person's car, and that insult is the discount. SUV buyers skip big sedans completely. Lexus shoppers pay extra for the badge. Even Camry and Avalon buyers forget that Buick built some very calm highway cars, with parts that regular shops still understand. Realistic prices for 3.8-liter Lucernes usually run around $4,000 to $10,500, with many clean drivers under $12,000. In a similar year, Lexus ES, Toyota Avalon, or newer Camry can cost more because buyers trust those names faster. The Lucerne gives soft seats, a quiet ride, wide doors, and highway comfort without luxury pricing. The key is buying the early 3.8-liter V6 car, not assuming every Lucerne is equal. The plain V6 is the cheap comfort play. The Northstar V8 is not the one we want for this list. That 3.8 engine is familiar, understressed, and supported by a huge GM parts world. In real life, that means brakes, struts, mounts, alternators, sensors, and cooling parts are not exotic. This is the car for the buyer who drives long highway miles, wants a smoother ride, and does not care if the neighbor calls it a grandpa sedan. It also works for older drivers who want easy doors, a forgiving ride, and less road noise than a cheap compact. A worn crossover can feel busy and loud at 70 miles per hour. A clean Lucerne can feel relaxed, which matters when you drive a distance every week. Check coolant leaks, motor mounts, front struts, power accessories, brake lines, and automatic shift quality. Test every window, seat switch, climate control button, and trunk release because little luxury features get annoying when they stop working. Service coolant, change transmission fluid, replace worn struts, and keep the charging system healthy because older Buicks hate weak voltage. I would also check tires and alignment because a worn Lucerne loses its whole stable, silent advantage when the front end gets sloppy. Choose this car when you want near luxury comfort and low-stress highway miles without paying Lexus or Avalon money. That is why we check the boring pieces first. A quiet Buick with records feels expensive, while a neglected one feels sad quickly. That saves real money. Do not buy one with warning lights glowing just because the leather feels nice. Comfort is only a value when the car is dry underneath, shifts cleanly, and does not need a pile of deferred repairs. One clean inspection now can save one ugly tow bill later, and that is exactly why boring American cars deserve a serious second look right now, today. Next is the American sedan that feels newer than its price and still gets ignored. If this saves you from overpaying, subscribe. We chase cheaper years, proven drivetrains, and repairs that normal shops can handle. Number 4. 2008 to 2012 Chevrolet Malibu 2.4. Clean sheet metal and a quieter cabin make this Malibu feel newer than most cheap American sedans, but buyers still walk past it because they hear Chevy and think fleet car. That stigma is the discount. People search for Camry, Accord, and Sonata first, then act surprised when those cars cost more with the same miles and the same tired paint. A Malibu in this window usually lands around $3,500 to $10,000 depending on miles, trim, rust, and records, so it sits well under the $12,000 ceiling. The one I would chase is the 2.4-liter Ecotec 4-cylinder with the regular automatic. It is not thrilling, but it is common, simple, and familiar to normal shops. We are not buying it for speed. We are buying it because parts are easy. The cabin feels modern for the money, and the repair story is easier than buyers assume. In the same year, an Accord or Camry often costs more because the badge feels safer. The Malibu gives you a newer feeling dash, decent seats, and quite enough highway manners without that import tax. The mechanical warning is oil care. These Ecotec engines do not like stretched oil intervals, and timing chain noise on a cold start can turn a cheap car into an expensive lesson. Start it cold and listen near the timing cover. You want a clean idle, not rattling that hangs around. Check oil level, transmission shift feel, steering clunks, brake feel, and every electrical switch. I also want to see matching tires and a dry trunk because water leaks and cheap tires tell you the owner was already cutting corners. Use the correct oil, change it early, service coolant, and do not ignore small leaks. If the dash has warning lights, the seller says it only needs a sensor, and the oil looks black, do not negotiate with hope. Buy records, not excuses. One more check, let it sit at idle with the air running, because cooling fans and weak charging show up when the car's hot and parked. A clean Malibu should stay steady, not surge, shake, or smell sweet. Choose this car when you want an American sedan that feels newer than the price suggests, and you are willing to buy the cleanest records, not the shiniest paint. Next is not glamorous, but it may be the smartest American choice for a buyer leaving a big family vehicle. Number 3. 2011 to 2016 Dodge Grand Caravan 3.6. Nobody dreams about a Grand Caravan, but families know what useful looks like when real life gets messy. Minivans get punished by image, and Dodge gets hit even harder because buyers think every Chrysler product is trouble waiting in the driveway. That fear keeps prices low, even though this van can be one of the cheapest ways to move people, tools, groceries, wheelchairs, dogs, sports gear, and half a house on a weekend. Current market range is roughly $4,500 to $11,500 for many 2011 to 2016 examples, depending on miles, trim, and history. That sounds higher than some cars here, but the value is in what it replaces. A Sienna, Odyssey, or full-size family SUV can cost thousands more, while the Grand Caravan still gives sliding doors, real seating, and serious cargo space. A similar year Sienna or Odyssey can cost thousands more, and those are good vans. But the Grand Caravan gives sliding doors, seats, cargo space, and family utility for much less money. The mechanical reason it belongs here is the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. It is common, strong enough for family duty, and supported by a giant parts network. The key is buying one that was maintained, not one that spent its life overloaded with dirty oil and ignored warning lights. This is the American answer for somebody coming out of a Suburban, Expedition, or big old family SUV who still needs space but wants a smaller payment and easier parking. Stow the seats, open both sliders, and you understand the appeal fast. A sedan cannot do this, and most cheap crossovers cannot either. For airport runs, school sports, home projects, and long family trips, the shape simply works better than Pride. Test both sliding doors, rear air, front air, power locks, hatch latch, transmission shift quality, front suspension clunks, tire wear, and oil cooler leaks. Also, inspect the interior hard. Family vans tell the truth. Broken trim, stained carpet, dead vents, and missing seat hardware show how the van lived. Keep transmission fluid serviced. Repair oil cooler leaks early. Rotate tires, and replace worn mounts before vibration makes the van feel tired. I would rather buy one with ugly carpets and perfect service records than one with shiny paint and mystery fluids. That is how family vehicles stay reliable after years of hauling kids, bags, snacks, and weekend cargo. Choose this car when you need maximum family practicality under $12,000, and do not care if minivans are not cool. I would also check the brakes closely because a loaded van works hard in stop-and-go traffic. If the pedal pulses, the tires are mismatched, or the steering shakes at highway speed, use that money in negotiation or walk. The right Grand Caravan is not stylish, but it can be a brutally practical tool. Next is the V8 American sedan that gets ignored until you realize how simple the right version can be. Number 2, 2005 to 2010, Chrysler 300C. 5.7. Big presence scares budget buyers, and this Chrysler gets judged before anyone checks the hardware. The 300C has a reputation problem because people picture abused sedans, huge wheels, cheap exhaust work, dead electronics, and owners who spent more on looks than maintenance. That fear is not fake. We have all seen rough ones, but the same fear also pushes clean stock Hemi cars into a better value zone. Older 300C examples often fall around $6,500 to $11,500, with mileage and condition making a massive difference. It is not the cheapest car on the list, but the value argument is the V8 sedan you get for the money. Big highway comfort, strong Hemi power, and common service parts for far less than most luxury V8 alternatives. Compare that to a clean Lexus GS, Toyota Avalon, or any used German V8 sedan. Those can cost more upfront or punish harder when repairs start. The Chrysler gives big sedan presence, rear drive feel on many models, and American V8 torque for less money. The mechanical reason it belongs is the 5.7-liter Hemi. It is torquey, familiar, and common enough that shops know the pattern. We are not saying every Chrysler is reliable just because it has a Hemi. We are saying the right stock car, with clean oil history, healthy cooling, and no cheap modifications, can outlast the reputation people give it. The sound is part of the appeal, but sound cannot be the reason you buy one. The condition has to lead. Insurance can also surprise buyers, so price it before you fall in love. A Hemi sedan is still a powerful car, and cheap ownership only works when the monthly costs stay sensible. Inspection checkpoint. Listen for Hemi tick. Check oil leaks, transmission shift quality, front suspension wear, rear differential noise, cooling health, and signs of cheap wheel or exhaust changes. Big wheels can wreck ride quality, bearings, tires, and suspension parts, so do not ignore them. Use quality oil, keep coolant fresh, service transmission fluid, and replace worn suspension pieces before the big body starts feeling loose. Also, watch battery health and charging voltage, because older big sedans get annoying when weak voltage starts confusing modules. Choose this car when you want American V8 simple ownership under $12,000. And you are disciplined enough to avoid the flashy abused ones. I like the calm older owner car, not the one sitting low with tinted lights and a loud start. The clean Hemi should feel smooth, strong, and planted at 65 miles per hour. If it wanders, clunks, overheats, or smells burnt, walk away. This is the car where patience matters. The reward is comfort, torque, and presence without luxury badge money. Find one with factory wheels, clean fluids, and normal records, and it feels like a secret value. Number 1 is the American badge secret nobody respects, because most buyers do not realize what is hiding underneath until the hood opens and the badge lies quietly. Number 1. 1998 to 2002 Chevrolet Prism. Hidden under a plain Chevrolet badge is the kind of secret cheap car most buyers miss completely. They see an old compact with faded paint, skinny tires, and zero status, then keep walking toward a Corolla that costs more. That is the mistake. The Prism shares deep Toyota roots with the same era Corolla, and that is why mechanics still smile when a clean one shows up. The market ignores it because nobody brags about buying a Chevrolet Prism. It sounds boring, cheap, and outdated. Good. That weak demand is exactly why realistic prices still run around $2,000 to $6,500, depending on rust, mileage, title, and records. The same condition Corolla can cost more simply because the Toyota badge is obvious. The Prism gives much of that same ownership logic for less money because the Chevrolet emblem hides the truth from casual shoppers. The mechanical reason it belongs here is the 1.8-liter four-cylinder and simple compact layout. We are not talking about power, luxury, or comfort. We are talking about cheap oil changes, easy brakes, normal tires, and a drivetrain most shops understand. It is the Toyota-adjacent American badge play, and that is the whole trick. But do not buy one blindly. Old, cheap cars can be abused because owners think they are disposable. Check rust at rockers, floor edges, brake lines, and rear suspension areas. Then check oil leaks, automatic shift feel, front suspension clunks, and cooling system condition. If it idles rough, smells hot, or shifts late, slow down. I also want the buyer to look inside the trunk and under the spare tire because water leaks and rust can hide there. On the road, it should track straight, brake smooth, and feel boring in the best possible way. If the steering wheel shakes at highway speed, do not panic, but price tires, alignment, and suspension before you hand over cash. Keep oil changes regular, service transmission fluid, replace old hoses and belts, and treat the cooling system seriously because old cars usually fail from ignored basics, not magic weakness. Choose this car when you want the cheapest Toyota-adjacent reliable story under an American badge, and you have the patience to find a clean one. This is number 1 because it proves the whole video. American badge stigma can hide strong hardware. The smartest used car buyer checks what the car is, not just what the emblem says. A clean Prism will never make neighbors jealous, but it can keep starting while flashier cars sit broken. That is the kind of quiet win this channel is built around. Buy the humble car with records, not the famous badge with excuses. Subscribe for reliable American bargains, simple inspection checks, and buyer rules that save money before a bad deal. Follows you home today. Buyer cheat sheet. Cheap American does not automatically mean broken. It means inspect harder and buy the proven setup. Cobalt is the lowest price commuter. HHR is the practical wagon. Sable is the highway sleeper. Escape is the small SUV. Grand Prix is the parts bin V6. Lucerne is the comfort sedan. Malibu is the new feeling daily. Grand Caravan is the family tool. 300C is the V8 play. Prism is the Toyota adjacent secret. Buy clean records, normal engines, dry undersides, and boring owners. Avoid cheap modifications, warning lights, rusty brake lines, missing titles, and sellers who talk faster than the car starts. If the drivetrain is simple and the history is calm, the badge matters less than the condition. Keep money back after purchase because tires, fluids, brakes, batteries, mounts, and leaks are normal ownership on older cars. A cheaper American car with repair money left over can beat a famous import that drains the budget on day 1. Look underneath, drive it warm, and walk away if the seller rushes you. Patience is cheaper than repairs, every single time. If the car feels honest, dry, and steady after a real test drive, that forgotten badge may be why the price stayed low. Also, remember this. The best cheap car is not the one with the lowest sticker price. It is the one that needs the least panic after purchase. A $12,000 budget spent badly can still hurt. A $7,000 car with fresh tires, clean coolant, smooth shifts, and boring receipts can be the smarter move. Do not buy attitude. Buy proof. Click the next video before you overpay for a badge. These American cars are cheaper for the wrong reasons. Subscribe for honest checks.